Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. It's great to have you here today. Thanks for taking us up on our invitation to be with us in community. I'm Kathleen Frankert. I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner here at the center, and we're so glad to have you joining us here at the beautiful Garden Club of Sarasota, or if you're joining online via YouTube or Facebook Live, or in our Zoom community room, where you can watch together and have some community time after the service. So however you're joining us today, I know that's perfect, and I know that it's going to be a lovely and beautiful time in community. So again, welcome. Our dear Reverend Teresa has lifted off in mind, body, and spirit to attend the World's Parliament of Religion in Chicago this week. She left yesterday, and I know that she's already there having a wonderful time. The World's Parliament of Religion dates back to 1893 in Chicago, so it's returning to its home where it began, and it was organized to cultivate harmony among the world's religious and spiritual communities and foster their engagement with the world and its guiding institutions in order to achieve a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. And so this Chicago event will have participants from over 200 diverse religious, spiritual, Aboriginal, and secular belief organizations from more than 80 nations. Now, the Center for Spiritual Living International, of which we are a part, has representatives there, leadership from centers around the world, including our Reverend Teresa, and we're especially proud of that. So we know that she's going to have a wonderful time and bring back some really wonderful awarenesses and teachings to share with us when she does. So today, with Reverend Teresa being out of town, we have with us our guest speaker, Reverend Shell Redfern. And let me tell you a little bit about Reverend Shell. She's a Wisconsin native and came to Florida in 1990. And in 2004, she found the Center for Spiritual Living in Cape Coral. And perhaps like many of you, she immediately was drawn to this philosophy and all of the learning about how to create a life that works and a life that is one of sharing and giving. And so while she was there, she began her ministerial studies with Reverend Emile Gavreau, who is our associate minister here. Many of you know Reverend Emile, of course, and she was ordained by Reverend Emile there. And then she served as the spiritual director, as Reverend Teresa does here, for the center in Cape Coral. During her time at the center there, who would walk through the door to become a practitioner and study with her, but none other than Ron Frost, one of our spiritual practitioners here. And so over the years, Reverend Teresa got to know Reverend Shell. They've been prayer partners for many years. In fact, Reverend Shell was here in March, participated in the ordination ceremony and day of activities that we had that day, a day of celebration. So as you can see, Reverend Shell is really just coming home. And we're so happy that she is here today with us. The other thing about Reverend Shell is she is a certified dream builder coach, and you're going to hear about more about that later today. So welcome back, Reverend Shell. Her topic today is Percolating Your Passion with Purpose. And if you have the opportunity to stick around for her workshop this afternoon from 12:30 to 3, it's called Dream Big, Get Results. And Angelica is going to do our announcements later. We'll have some more details about that. So now, with all of that accomplished, I just invite you now to turn within and join me in contemplating and knowing this. Something wonderful is happening right here, right now. As we participate in this time together, we experience our oneness with each other, with this community, and with life itself. This life seeks its expression in, through, and as each one hearing these words. And what a magnificent, unique expression that is. And so let us know that this service, the words spoken, the songs sung, the ideas created, the inspiration received, is already perfect and unfolding now for the greatest and highest good of all. Every moment is blessed and a blessing for each one. And together we say, and so it is. Great. And now, here's our house band, Joyful Noise, to present True Calling by Janice Stanfield.
Thank you, Kathleen. When you hear a voice no one else can hear, yet it's clear and loud, ringing in your ear. You finally know what it's time to do. That's your true calling, calling you. It's your true calling, calling you. When your heart's wide open, 'cause your mind's been changed, and the dreams you dream are not the same. There's a gate that's open, you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. Your true calling, calling you. You ask yourself, is this a voice I can trust? You think you can't, but you know that you must. You're afraid you'll fall if you let go, but there's only one way you'll ever know. Dreams you keep folded are meant to be used when your true calling is calling you. Your true calling, calling you. You ask yourself, am I asking too much? You think you can't, but you know that you must. When your heart's wide open, 'cause your mind's been changed, and the dreams you dream are not the same. There's a gate that's open, you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. You ask yourself, is this a voice I can trust? You think you can, but you know that you must just trust. There's a gate that's open, you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. Your true calling, calling you. Your true calling, it's calling you. Thank you.
Thanks, house band. That was great. So this month we have been looking at and examining and reading about and having lessons around this idea of passion with purpose. And so I went to the big book and I said, well, what does Ernest Holmes say about purpose or purposefulness? And this is how he describes it. He says, the conscious mind's ability, purpose is the conscious mind's ability to know what it wishes to express and the power to express it. So, of course, that just brought up more questions. Well, what does that mean? What does he mean by the power? What power, and how does it happen? And so that took me on another search. And as often happens, this book fell off the shelf and opened to this page. It's a daily reader called 365 Days of Richer Living. And it was written by Ernest Holmes, the architect of our philosophy, and Raymond Charles Barker. Now, Raymond Charles Barker was the minister at the First Church of Religious Science in New York, which met at Town Hall, and then it outgrew Town Hall, and it had to meet in Lincoln Center. It was huge in its time. So he wrote this book with Ernest Holmes, and it's a daily reader. I highly encourage you to check it out. But it talks about the affirmation, all power is mine to use today. Power is the capacity to initiate and demonstrate an idea. What God has done on the scale of the universal, I can do in my own world. When the God mind initiates an idea, a new good appears. When I initiate a holy idea and carry it through to its logical conclusion, I am fulfilling my divine destiny. Around me is the power of infinite mind, forever revealing new greatness of mind, ease, and possibility. I now attune myself to the true source of ideas, and I execute them in my experience. I have all the power I need, for mind alone is power, and mind thinks by means of me. I use power rightly. I become a blessing to the world and a success to myself. I select ideas as carefully as I would select a precious gem. I want only those ideas which are worthy of my highest spiritual development. The ideas I have selected include health, prosperity, and creative expression. These ideas now move through my thinking, backed by my affirmations of truth. They must accomplish their full demonstration in my life, for the law of mind does the work. There is no power outside of the Spirit within me. I formerly believed that situations, people, and problems had power. But now I see rightly. Today, I stand at the center of my world as a distribution of power. I deliberately choose to have God's power in my life act as my perfect health. I open my whole body to its inflow and operation. I select the idea of joy, knowing that as power flows through me, the process is a joyous one. The only power I have is God, but that is sufficient to revolutionize my being.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. Our next song is a Karen Drucker song. This is called Blessing to the World, and I would like to invite you all to join in singing with us. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart. We are the heart. We are the hands. We are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. That's right, we again. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of spirit on earth, and who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I am again. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. One more time. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth, and who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world. I'm a blessing to the world. Oh, that sounded very nice. Sounded very nice. And now let's have a round of applause for Reverend Shell.
Good morning. It is such a pleasure to be back. That was so well put, Kathleen. It is coming home. It really is. And I am just so delighted to be here. Thank you for having me. Our topic today is percolating your passion with purpose. Percolating your passion with purpose. So seeing the word percolating, all I could think about, of course, was coffee. So we are going to start with some truly awful coffee jokes that I promise you will repeat at least one of these. Because they're that bad, but they're funny. Are you okay? You ready? What's it called when you steal somebody's coffee? A mugging. What do coffee beans say to their valentines? Honey, you sure do keep me grounded. This one's the best, though. This one's the best. This is the one that you'll remember. What do you call a cow that's just given birth? Decaffeinated. I know they're all moaners. They are, but you know, you got to start. You got to start somewhere, and starting with a laugh is always a good thing, I think. So. Percolating your passion with purpose. Let's unpack that. I'm just going to take that word for word and kind of unpack that, okay? So percolating, as I say, that reminds me of coffee because my grandma had a percolator. And, you know, I know the sound of the percolator. And for some reason, coffee in a percolator just smells different than drip coffee. I don't know why that is, but it is. So I have this smell and coming down the stairs at my grandma's house and hearing the percolator going and everything. I think that there's so much in there, really, because percolating, to me, I often say I'm percolating an idea or I'm cooking an idea. So there are a couple of things here. Like when I got this as a title, I just started tossing it around in my head. That's percolating, right? Or cooking, percolating. And so I believe that ideas are the currency of God. I'd like to take or credit for that statement, but it's a Mary Morrissey. Ideas are the currency of God. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that Spirit speaks to us, through us, as us, by giving us ideas. And then these ideas percolate and they become something, right? They start to manifest out in the world. There is a time of gestation. And I think a lot of times we want to see things change in our life like this, but there is a gestation time to everything. We use the seed flower, or the soil seed plant analogy often in this teaching, yes? But think about it. If we plant a seed and then we go and want to see how it's doing, are the roots taking hold? You know, we dig it up and we check it out for a while and then we put the soil back. Is that thing going to be all right? No. So part of percolating is stepping out of the way of the flow of things so that things can manifest. Yes? Yeah. That's part of it. I ran into a really fascinating book this week, and it's called Project 369. Is anybody familiar with Project 369? There are a gazillion books about Project 369. I'd never heard of it before, but I guess Oprah's big into it. A number of different people are big into it. And here's the idea. The idea is that you come up with some affirmations, and then in the morning, you write them 3 times. Now, the writing of these 3 times, and I guess this is an Abraham Hicks kind of teaching, needs to take more than 17 seconds. Because otherwise the idea won't take hold. The affirmation won't take hold. So you got to have a little bit of time. But 17 seconds is not long. So I have an affirmation, I time myself, and to write it 3 times took me 42 seconds. That's not long either, but it's more than 17 seconds. Can I commit to 42 seconds in the morning, first thing, to write 3 affirmations? Yes. Yes, I can. Right? So you write 3 times in the morning, you write it 6 times in the afternoon, and you write it 9 times right before you go to bed. And then you do the same thing. And they invite you to do this for, was it 33 days? I think 33 days, because they're saying that these numbers, 3, 6, and 9, are sacred. Now, I haven't gotten to that chapter yet, so I can't tell you why, but they're saying that these numbers are sacred, so there's something about these numbers. And so I've been thinking about that. I really love the idea of that. First of all, I love affirmations. I know they work. They've worked in my life, and Teresa's my prayer partner. What do? We affirm the truth for each other every single Thursday. That's what we do. We use more words than an affirmation, but we affirm the truth for each other. Now think about that. If that's the first thing you write down when you wake up, you're still in your subconscious mind a little bit. Lunchtime, it's just kind of a reminder. 9 times, the most times, right before you go to bed, guess what? Your subconscious is going to play with that all night long. I love this idea. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's very cool. Now, one of their rules as well is once you write the affirmations, you close your journal and you don't think about it anymore. You leave it alone. You just leave it alone. You let the elements rearrange themselves to themselves. I like that idea very much too, and it goes full circle back to this percolating thing. What if my grandma would take the lid off that percolator and check on the coffee? Now, I know that we fact-checked this on the way here because my memory was that it stopped percolating and then it was done. And I was like, well, did it really stop percolating or did Grandma just unplug it? No, it really stops percolating and then it's done. So you have to listen for it to stop. And then you unplug it so it doesn't keep cooking or you're going to have burnt percolated coffee. But if Grandma had lifted off that lid while it was percolating, what would you have? A mess. She'd have a mess. She'd have coffee all over the counter. If we dig up the seed while it's still in the soil, we haven't seen the evidence appear before it's ready to come up. Well, we can do do a lot of other things though, right? If we planted a seed, an oak seed, what can we do? We can make sure that it's in sunlight. We can add a little fertilizer to the ground. We can water it. There are things that we can do before we see that thing sprout, and that's part of percolating, I think. Does this make sense? Okay. So, percolating. We're only on word 1, guys. This is exciting. Okay. Passion. Percolating your passion with purpose. And I think that actually passion and purpose go hand in hand with each other. I think that one creates the other very, very much so. I looked up the definitions, I love doing this, of passion and purpose. Purpose is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. Now, if you put yourself, and we're talking about us here, right? If you put yourself into this, my purpose is the reason for which I'm created, the reason for which I exist. Isn't that kind of a cool thing to think about? I have a purpose. There's a reason I'm here. We all have a purpose. Passion is intense, emotional, compelling action. Excuse me, let me redo that. Intense emotion, compelling action. Intense emotion, compelling action. That's passion. So you see where I think these go hand in hand with each other. We have this thing that's seeking to emerge, and it compels us into action if we're moving from that space. Make sense? When I was in ministerial school, I had a great class, and it was called Noble Purpose. It's based on the book by Barry Herman, Hermann, if you want to look up the book, The Noble Purpose. And he described our purpose as happening this way, that this is where most of us are. And this was just a fabulous class to me. He said, deep inside, there's an essential self. Deep inside, there's an essential self. Now, what I want you to do is bring to mind, your mind's eye, a peanut M&M. Okay? Got it? Okay, so you got the peanut, you got it surrounded by chocolate, and then you've got the hard candy shell. Yes? Okay. So, the essential self, deep inside, would be the peanut in this analogy. Okay? So we come into this life as our essential self. We know why we're here. We're very curious about, think about a kid. Little kids, they're passionate about everything, aren't they? They are just so full of energy, and they're so curious, and they're out there exploring and getting to know who they are and experimenting with different things, and they're not afraid to fail. That happens later, right? And so, but this failure thing is part of it. So now we're into the chocolate layer. We have failures. We have well-meaning adults that tell us to stop doing something, stop thinking a particular way. Don't say that. You can't do that. What are you thinking? That's not logical. That's not practical. So we've got this delicate little essential self that then falls into what he calls fundamental dissonance. So we create a layer of protection around our essential self. We want to protect it. It's tender, So we create this layer. And now, instead of making decisions and choices from our essential self, we start making it from the fundamental dissonance layer. And that creates a whole nother layer, and that's your candy shell. And that's the space that we live from. He calls that outer shell the bonded self. And doesn't that make sense? We're stuck. So our purpose, the who we really truly are, the spirit that is us, is so buried because we're not making choices or decisions from there. We're making choices and decisions from other people's ideas about who we should be. And it's created a whole outer shell, and that's our life. And that's where most people are until something happens. And he calls this a critical life drama. That normally everything falls apart when there is a critical life drama. Now, you may have experienced this, or you may know people that have experienced this, and that's when they get a diagnosis of some kind, like they're diagnosed with cancer, they only have 6 months to live, they sell everything they own, and they go to Tahiti. You know? We know people that have done this. They go through a horrendous divorce. They sell everything they own and they do something else. They are in a spot that's just horrendous, and it motivates them to completely uproot and change their life because they always wanted to do fill in the blank. And they never did. And now for some reason, they're pushed into action. Yes? I think we don't have to have something horrible to have this happen. Let's not. Let's not. Let's not. You are in the right place to know your truth. You are absolutely in the right place being in this room because you are loved for who you are, the way you are, how you show up in this world. You are deeply loved, and you're surrounded by people that love you and will support you for being your true self. You are in the right place. You are absolutely in the right place. So it's time to be aware of our purpose being varied and start to ask different questions, powerful questions. Now, the workshop this afternoon, I hope many of you guys will come, we'll take a dive into that. We'll dive deeply into that. And we'll start to talk about what is seeking to emerge as me, as it can only emerge as me. It'll be a deep dive into that. So join us, please. Can't fit it into 20 minutes, or I would. But I can fit awareness of it into 20 minutes. So I am. What happens when we live from our purpose? What happens when we live from our purpose? You're joyful. And that's how you know you're doing it. That's exactly how you know you're doing it. Because you're filled to overflowing with joy. Life just pours out of you. That's what life pouring through you, in you, as you looks like, joy. Another way to put that is passion. Right? So we come full circle. It's time to percolate. It's time to percolate. It's time to spend some time to go within, to ask deep, meaningful questions. What is seeking to emerge as me, is me, through me? What is in here? What have I been denying myself for much of my life? I don't think it's important to understand. It might be for some of you to understand what created that fundamental dissonance for you. You can go back if you want to, but why not just move forward? Why not just move forward? It could be there. It could be there. There could be that hard edge still in place, the bond itself still in place, but we get to remove it because we are always at a place of choice. And our choices create our realities create our lives, and there you have it, right? Pretty simple. So, let's start doing some affirmations, yes? 369, this 369 project, what a cool idea. We're going to do 3 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon. Just pick one area of your life that you want to see shift. Now, everybody know how to write affirmations? They are in the present tense. They are saying what you want to see, not what you don't want to see. I'll give you a great example of this, right? So, don't think about the Statue of Liberty. Don't you do it. Do not think about the Statue of Liberty. Do not think about that woman standing up there with her arm up like this. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. See? So we don't want to have things. I don't want to be in pain anymore. No, 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 no. The mind does not understand don't. So if we put a statement like that, I don't want to be in pain anymore, what are you actually focusing on? Pain. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. Instead, I feel freedom. I can walk. Maybe that's it. You know, like if you're having troubles with knees or legs or something, I walk 2 miles every day and I love it. What is the outcome? That's your affirmation. What is the outcome? What happens as a result of whatever it is in your life that's shifted? That's your affirmation. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at night, and then what do? We forget about it. We forget about it. In that you don't obsess. You don't obsess about how is this going to happen? How is this? If you want to do something in service of it, what can I do with what I have today, right here, right now? What can I do with what I have in service of it? That's a powerful question. That's okay. Yes? Okay. Uncover what's inside of you. Deliver the gifts that are yours. Passion, purpose, percolation. I love ending talks with what would Ernest Holmes say about this. In fact, I had the whole community back in Cape Coral trained that when I get towards the end of the talk, I'd say, well, and they'd go, what would Ernest Holmes say? What a great question. What a great question, I'll tell you. Here's what Ernest Holmes would say. In the Bibles of the world and many other sources, one persistent purpose, teaching, and conclusion runs through them all. The universe is a spiritual system, and we are some part of it. God is right where we are, and it is discovered at the center of our own being. Turning from everything that denies this and quietly contemplating the perfection of the inner man, who is the incarnation of God, we meet the great reality in the only place we ever discovered it. It's within our own hearts and souls and minds. Isn't that stunning? Smart guy. Very smart guy. So we've got an action plan, yes? We're gonna figure out what's beneath all these layers of life that's been happening to us. We're gonna create at least one affirmation, 3, 6, 9 it. We're gonna have an experiment here, guys, for the next 33 days. And what's gonna happen? We're gonna change our life, yes? Yes. Yes. That's a secret yes you just gave me right there. So that's a beautiful thing. I hope you guys will join me after celebration for the workshop, and thank you once again for having me here today. Namaste.
Wow, thank you very much, Reverend Shell. Wow, so glad to have you with us today. Our next song is by Mark Mileski. It begins with me, literally what Shell was just talking about. Strive. Watch as time unfurls the purpose for my life. But how How do I get started? Where do I begin? Finally figured out that I have to go deep within. It begins with me. It begins with me. When I'm looking when I finally realize my own divinity, it begins with me. And those regular affirmations, right? As the days go by, wonder what will it take to bring some lasting peace to all the warring states. It all comes down to love, how much you can spread. It's taken way too long for humanity to get it through our heads. It begins with me. It begins with me. When I'm looking deep inside myself, I can clearly see. It begins with me. It begins with me. When I finally realize my own divinity, it begins with me. And how will I show up? And how will I respond? When I know there's endless love available today, right now, and all the days beyond. It begins with me. It begins with me. When I'm looking deep inside myself, I can clearly see. It begins with me. It begins with me. When I finally realize my own divinity, it begins with me. It begins with me. When I'm looking deep inside myself, I can clearly see. It begins with me. Begins with me. When I finally realize my own divinity, it begins with me. Woo! Thank you very much. At this time, it's time for our offering. I want to tell you all of you folks, members and friends associated with this center, have been doing loving, supporting things from the very beginning of it. And I want to thank you all for that. And I'm grateful to be part of this giving, supporting, loving, learning community. Totally grateful for all the good being done and all the consciousness being raised and all the love being shared. I read this in the Science of Mind today. We are made in the image and likeness of an intelligent, loving, fulfilled reality. Our identity is one with all the supply, abundance, and sufficiency. Life withholds nothing from us. I recognize the time, treasure, and talent that you support this center with. and I am grateful. And let's sing together. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
Hi, everyone. Guess what time it is? It's time. Is it on? Hold it down.
There you go.
It's time for announcements.
All right.
It's an exciting time. Okay. First one, I'm going to talk about the workshop, but you've already heard quite a bit about the workshop Reverend Shell Redfern is giving. But I do want to read something in this flyer that was over on the table about it. Is there a longing inside you, a yearning to find your purpose in life? Do you feel that you are capable of living a life that is somehow more? Are you ready to change your life? How many are registered or planning to take the workshop this afternoon?
Yes.
Great. Okay, cool. All right, that's the first one. The second one, Reverend Teresa will be teaching a new class, Visioning a Way of Life. It's a 6-week mastery course, and there's information about it on the table, this flyer. It starts Tuesday, September 12th through the 17th of October, 6 to 8 p.m. So that information is there. And I would like to just speak for a moment about the online community that we started a few weeks ago. Instead of people watching through Zoom, watching the service alone, we want to do it in community. So next Sunday, I will be the host. We start at 15 minutes before and introduce ourselves to one another, that sort of thing. And then a half hour after, we'll be talking about anything that might have come up during the workshop, during the whatever, something people need to want to discuss. So I wanted to let you know about that one. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Angelica. And if you haven't signed up for Shell's class, you still may join. So don't let anything get in your way. And it's a love offering too. So whatever. Yes, I just wanted to make sure you know it. I'll see you in it if you're joining us. And we're going to end with a song called "More Today Than Yesterday" that we did with Emily and Matthew when they were here, and I passed out the words. Hopefully, if you have them, does anybody need them? All right. Please join and sing along with us. I don't remember what day it was. Oh, it sounded good. I didn't notice what time it was. All I know is that I fell in love with you. And if all my dreams come true, I'll be spending I see your face, my heart opens wider. If all my dreams come true, I'll be spending time with you. Oh, I love you more today than yesterday, but not as much as tomorrow. I love you more today than yesterday, but darling, not as much as tomorrow. Today's the day we get to know the truth. Troubles, we don't need you now, be on your way. I'm grateful for the love like ours that grows ever stronger, and I always will be true. I know you feel the same way too. Oh, I love you more today than yesterday, but not as much as tomorrow. I love you more today than yesterday, but darling, not as much as tomorrow. Oh, give yourselves a round of applause on that one. Sounded beautiful. Okay, don't forget we have coffee and snacks back here, and the workshop is coming right up. So have a great week, everybody.